Dalton's Industrial Environmental Cleaning. If you need any ductwork cleaned, these are the people you want to see. You want to talk to Dalton's. 1-877-DALTONS or DaltonEnvironmentalCleaning.com. And you can find their address on, this information on the Daily Drift as an advertisement. I've used, as Gary has pointed out before, I've used Dalton's before, cleaned out some ductwork in some offices I managed. And professional, cleaned up after themselves, got all the garbage out that was floating down on everybody's desk every time the air conditioning turned on. They're people that you want to use. Once again, that's 877-DALTONS or 325-8667.
Got all that. Hey, during break, did you get a chance to sample some of that great food and stuff
yes,
there?
Yes.
Trudy, who's a great supporter of this station.
Yep, thank you.
She loves this. She brought in this great layout, cheeses and vegetables in crackers. I can't eat the crackers because, well, I'm back on my diet, and my wife's is in building,
here, yeah.
and she'd be seeing me sneak into that. But, hey, Trudy, thanks so much for that wonderful, wonderful treat. We really appreciate it. Also, tomorrow.
Yep.
I want to say this. Tomorrow, 9:30-ish, 9:30, 10. Start watching at 9:30 just in case. Fayron's going to be back on tomorrow on Let It Rip.
Yep.
He's always, I always feel bad when I first see it because they have this great big huge panel. They're all liberals, and then there's Fayron. They put him kind of like in the end or something, and obscured. And yet
I feel so sorry for the liberals.
Yeah. And then when the thing starts unfolding, you understand that they didn't bring enough power because Fayron just rips them to shred, figuratively. Figuratively, folks.
Not a fair fight at all.
Not a fair fight. No, he really goes in there. Well, that's what happens when you go in and you debate using logic and knowledge compared to the liberals who are debating based on emotion and whining. Mm-hmm. And so when you got logic and knowledge versus whining and emotion, logic's going to win out.
Yep, particularly the debate forum. Yep.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, if nothing else, watch it so you can argue your views also.
Yes, it helps you develop your own arguments.
Right.
Yep, it doesn't hurt to copy other people's arguments in your own arguments as long as you research them and can, they're just not your talking points. You got to know what's going on.
When someone comes at me with a counterpoint or the counter position that I have, the first thing I always ask them is, why do you feel that way?
Yep.
Well, just because isn't an answer. Why do you feel that way about that point? And what you find with liberals is they'll either shoot to an emotional cause, and I'll say, well, what does that really have to do with the argument? Sure, you can talk about all the emotional stuff, so I can give you emotional cries for the conservative side. Why, logically, do you feel that way? And they can't ever come up with a real strong logical.
And, that's kind of a micro of the macro originalism versus living document debate.
Yeah, and Fayron is really great at laying out the arguments, giving his views, and explaining why he feels that way. And in the end, you start feeling really sorry for the liberals there because they were they lack the ammunition. Yep.
Now it's interesting. Everybody has an opinion. You have an opinion. I have an opinion. Fayron has an opinion. Those liberals have an opinion. Everybody has an opinion. In fact, talk radio is all about opinion, right. Or it'd be just good evening in tonight's news. And that would be it.
I would listen to that show, all right? I would listen to that show because you sounded a little bit like Alfred Hitchcock there.
Oh, my
good evening.
Goodness. So, even on our side, even on the conservative side right now, there's a lot of discussion about some of the stuff that's going on and some debate and a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings about what's going on with Trump and Scaramucci and Priebus.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are so solid. I'm going to say I'm pro-Trump, so everything that happens in Washington is right. Well, you have to be able to sit there and say, why do you have that opinion?
Yeah.
What's your view on that? My view right now is Scaramucci. We were talking about him before, and I said we'd have to get back to this, and you promised me we would. Scaramucci, I think, it was an exciting new announcement that he was coming in, but I think he's really doing a lot of overreach.
Yes, exactly.
Within his powers. And
and Trump is not God. Trump is going to make mistakes. You could say that if he had to fire Priebus, a lot of people say that was a mistake to have Priebus. I don't know if it was. I think Priebus was the man at the time. I don't know that, a lot of people consider Priebus this elite, this sellout. He was a traitor in the camp. And Priebus just was I know a guy who knows Priebus, and he speaks highly of him. And Priebus just wasn't suited for the environment he was in as White House Chief of Staff.
I said this at Linda's show, and then Joe kind of hit on a little bit too. I think that Reince Priebus was the choice to come in as a peace deal between Trump and the mainstream Republicans, the Republican elite, saying, okay, I will bring in one of yours, and not just as a little person in the corner. I'll bring him in as my chief of staff with the hope that with Reince Priebus there, that Reince would be able to do something to get the Republican elite on board with some of these plans. As a representative,
so to speak?
Yeah, and be kind of like the bridge builder between the elite Republicans and this non-politician president. And he figured, okay, Reince would know how to talk to them, get things done. And this last debacle with the health care showed that Reince really had no conversation at all with people like McCain.
Well, I don't think you could do anything with McCain, to be honest with you. I feel sorry that if health care is being held against Priebus right now, there was no way. You can't do Collins.
No,
you can't do Mikulski.
I'm just saying that what the reason that Priebus was brought in wasn't working. Mm-hmm. So if it's not going to work, okay, let's get me somebody in here in chief of staff who I would have actually picked without worrying about building this bridge with the elites. And he did, Kelly.
Yeah.
And the liberals are going nuts over Kelly because, well, they call him an extremist. You know, he's to the right. He's a very strong conservative, which is fantastic. We all knew when Trump was going in that Trump was not what you'd call the ideal conservative. Mm-hmm. Especially, he was, if nothing else, he was a New York Republican. All right,
yeah,
and we all know what that means.
A moderate Democrat.
So the fact that he's bringing in some strong conservatives is saying that he's taken his conservative base serious and know that we as a conservative base put him into office. So he's bringing in some conservatives now. He says, we tried it with the mainstream Republicans. It didn't work. So now I'm going to just load up with the conservatives, which the mainstream Republicans, the Republican elites, absolutely hate.
Well, my take, I understand exactly what you're saying, and I believe that. But my take is that Reince Priebus came in. I think Reince Priebus is a decent guy. I think he was backing the Trump agenda. I don't think he was undercutting the Trump agenda. But I don't think that he had the forceful personality to be able to dominate the way Trump would want him to. Pretty much Trump's criticism of Jeff Sessions at the moment. You know, that he's not willing to step out beyond his comfort zone. You know, you take like Sessions. Sessions is doing stuff in the background. He's doing a marvelous job on a number of things, but he wasn't strong enough on this issue of the Russians and the.
And I'm going to stand totally on board with Sessions here, and I'm going to say this is where I, like Linda before said, this is something that she thinks Trump is wrong on this. Sessions is a staunch supporter of Trump, has been, and even is now, even with everything going on.
He's getting a lot done, yeah.
He's getting a lot done.
Points here, yeah.
But with his position, and he talked to people around, and with his position as the Attorney General, he really had no choice but to back down, because if you remember at that time, they were saying, oh, he was meeting with this Russian ambassador and everything else. And hey, if I cannot handle this, and if I'm not totally above reproach on this argument, and people think that I have some other agenda to hide the fact that I met with this Russian ambassador, which he did. He was a senator. He met with dignitaries. But to sit there and remove any doubt of any favoritism, he says, fine, I will recuse myself from that. I think he did the absolute right thing.
Well, actually, there's a CFR that says he did the right thing. I read the CFR 24 something or other. I put it on my blog recently. And if these are the exact circumstances, he had to recuse himself. He's not serving under a Democratic president, so he doesn't get the free pass that Democratic appointees get. Right? So he has to, Sessions is a follow the rules, follow the law kind of guy. He's a righteous attorney general. Those were the rules. He's got to do it. Trump wasn't happy that he did that because Trump is willing to wink, wink, nod, nod. But he didn't give him the pass.
And now, look, Kelly's coming on. He's the new chief of staff. And what's the first thing he says, and I think this should have been done right from the beginning. Yes, we know Russia was involved with some tampering and trying to direct the flow of our election. Guess what? They always have. And this is what nobody's really pointing out. This is something that they have always done since the time of John F. Kennedy.
Yeah, yep.
All right.
Well, back to Reince and Kelly.
Right.
And, the comparison between the two. I don't think Reince had the forceful personality enough to be able to work under Trump and actually rein in the stuff that was going on in the White House. And I think Kelly does. And I'm really curious to see. Now, Scaramucci is a guy who said, hey, I'm going to report right to the president, right? Which is not the way it normally works.
Normally you go through the chief of staff.
Exactly. And so that right there undercut Priebus tremendously. Now the question is, will he report or will he go through General Kelly? And what will General Kelly put up with? And we don't know the answer to that.
We don't know the answer. But I will say this, and Reince Priebus did a good job running the RNC. And maybe he needs to go back and get involved with the RNC.
He contributed mightily to getting Trump elected.
He did. I just don't think he had the right chops to do the job as the chief of staff.
Okay, we got a call. We got to take this call. Give me a second here. Hello. Welcome to the Drift.
Man, oh man, how long do you guys keep people on hold around here?
I keep watching somewhere other than the screen. Derek finally waved me. You got a call.
Oh, you're funny. Hey, listen, a couple things. First of all, I gave you guys the wrong time for Let It Rip. It is tomorrow morning between 9 and 10.
That's 9:30, between 9 and 10.
If you tune in at 10, it's over. So between 9 and 10. I think it's the 9:30 segment, but start watching at 9. Second of all, I want to make a prediction for Saturday Night Live. I think they're going to tap Joey from Friends to be Anthony Scaramucci. So picture that. You got to add a ring to his finger and slick his hair back a little bit, but I think he'll be the perfect Scaramucci for Saturday Night Live.
Forget about it.
How you doing?
That's right. I'm going to fire some people. I fired somebody just a minute ago. I'm going to fire 3 people in the next half hour.
I'm going to hire someone just so I can fire him.
I want to also give a theory that I think this Sessions thing could be a ruse. I'm thinking that maybe, because now you hear all the Democrats saying they're almost daring Trump to touch Sessions. Like, don't even touch him. We love him. He's great. So if he builds up Sessions' reputation enough with everybody, and then down the road Sessions has to get rid of Mueller, how are the Democrats going to suddenly come out and turn on Sessions after they've been totally defending him through all this? So this is another one of Linda's crazy predictions.
No, that's one of the better ones.
True.
Yeah, it's one of the better predictions you've ever had. Yeah.
No, I mean, of what I've heard. I mean, I was writing about this recently, and I got a number of opinions. Everybody has opinions, like we were talking about, but nobody seems to have a real idea of what the thinking is behind Trump on criticizing Sessions without firing him. You don't want to drive him away. Actually, one thing I did notice that Sessions is getting a lot of kudos for the things he is doing, and yet, as I look at that, I think of somebody who's an employee who's doing everything they think they should do, as opposed to what the boss thinks they should do.
Well, you see, now you're looking at that whole relationship as a corporate relationship, as Trump might, because he's corporate. Mm-hmm. But the AG has got his own set of. You have to remember, he had to get approved by the Senate to become AG. He had to go through that whole process, and he has to do things that are statutorily assigned to him. And I think he's doing that job as better than any AG has done in the last dozen years.
He's not running guns to Mexico. I mean, that's a big step up right there. He's not meeting Hillary Clinton on an airplane on a tarmac somewhere. I mean, the guy's a righteous dude. The thing is...
And keep in mind, too, that Trump was very confusing in the beginning about the Clinton investigation, because he kept saying crazy things like, well, they're a nice family, we don't want to hurt them. So I don't think Sessions got any indication that Trump wanted him to go after Hillary.
Mixed signals? Yeah. So, I think one thing the one thing I imagined about this is that in the background, Sessions and Trump are saying, hey, look, I'm going to come after you. You're going to take it. And people are going to choose sides. And let's see whose side they choose. And let's see what leaks come out. And then we're going to come out on a podium and we're going to have our arms around each other. But we're going to expose the people that popped up their heads thinking there was a rift between us. I can't think of exactly what that is, but that's my best guess.
I'm going to go this far, and I said this during the American Dream, is the White House is losing, and the Senate is losing, Congress is losing a great advantage right now with all this turmoil, that they could be getting things done because everyone is looking over at the stuff going on in the White House. The Senate could be doing tons of things right now.